Welcome to our second episode of 18 Questions With. My name's Matt Gregory, I'm the CCO at Allsopp, and today we have one of the most established real estate agents in Dubai, Charlie King. Welcome, Charlie.
Morning, Matt.
So let's get straight into it. So first of all, first question, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what was your background before coming to Dubai?
So moved to Dubai in 2012. I was a plumber, I was gas fitter, Corgi, oil, doing resi. Wasn't for me. I knew it wasn't going to be for my forever job. Dubai Seed got planted. Me, my girlfriend at the time, packed our bags and took a job in real estate.
Yeah. The rest is history, right?
The rest is history, yeah.
What? Let's go back beyond that then, beyond being a gas fitter. So what were you like as a kid? What were you like growing up, the early years of Charlie?
Hated school, didn't want to be there, didn't want to listen to a teacher, just wanted to earn money. I remember when I was about 12, 11, I said to my dad, I want to earn my own money. So he got me a job at a local, like a farm estate. And I was just doing whatever I could for this guy. He'd get me cutting the grass, the hedges, I'd do bar work, anything I can to earn a bit of pocket money.
So was money always important to you then? What was
it? To me at the time, yeah, it was. You know, I just wanted my own money. I wanted to do my own things. I wanted to buy my own things. I didn't want to rely on anyone. You know, I was just hungry for it.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier the moving to Dubai, decision that you and your girlfriend at the time had. How did you actually end up doing that though? Was it just the weather and being a plumber that got enough for you? What was the real catalyst for you?
So what it was I did my apprenticeship from 16 to, I think it was like 2.5, 3 years of apprenticeship. And then it was during the time where sort of the work dried up. Work was really dry throughout the whole of the UK, or especially in our area. And so I ended up sort of getting some business cards drawn up and sort of went self-employed on my own and did my own jobs and sort of sub work and stuff like that. And everyone I spoke to, well, at the time I wanted to then get 4 or 5 plumbers with me, build a business. But everyone I spoke to that was in the industry, my uncle included, his knees were gone, his hips were gone. And everyone was like, yeah, you have 4 or 5 guys, it's 4 or 5 times the headache, you don't necessarily earn as much money. So that was always at the back of my mind. I was like, look, I feel like I need something else. UK for me, I could always see myself living elsewhere. I love the sun makes me happy. So then the Dubai Seed was planted. It was like, I worked my socks off through my apprenticeship until I was 21. Would work 6-7 days a week, do whatever I can again to earn money. And then Dubai Seed.
Was it a holiday?
Packed our bags. No, we'd never even been here.
Oh really?
No. Wife now, girlfriend at the time, she hadn't been here, I hadn't been here. Just had friends, a couple of friends that were here. He said, oh look, Dubai's a great place, you should think about moving. I think you could do real estate, I think you'd be good at it. And then went for a job. I remember then I got the job, packed the bags and literally
So you had a job in real estate before?
Had a job in real estate, I'd never done it.
How did you find that? Like, how did you find moving
it was through a sort of family friend.
Right.
I remember I just completely made up a CV that I was working in real estate already. And then, just come over and just threw myself in the deep end.
And how was it learning that new industry, learning
sales,
right?
It was hard. I think you're born with a natural sales gift. I think a lot of people can be born. It's a very hard thing. You can be taught certain sales skills, but I do think people are born with sort of natural ability to be able to sell things. But it was hard. I remember I did ranches, rentals to start with. Right. I was learning all the floor plans. I did everything I can to learn every single floor plan. And sort of learn the way people work here and how the industry is. But it took me best part of 2 years I think, to get settled.
Yeah.
Like to then, it makes sense, and for me to actually just get it.
Yeah. What key skills then do you think got you to where you are now? Like, what do you attribute to back then that's enabled you to be where you are today?
I've been here 10 years now, so
All right.
I've built that trust with people. People are loyal to me, I'm loyal to them.
Yeah.
So it's just, honestly, it's not always, about money.
Yeah.
That, I've never forced anyone to buy anything. I've never been one of those brokers that, and everyone has their, and I'm not saying there's a wrong way or a right way to sell someone something, but I've never pushed anyone to buy anything or sell anything. It's their choice at the end of the day, and it's ultimately them that have to make that decision.
Yeah.
You can guide them, you can advise them, but it's their choice. It's whether it works for them or not.
Honesty is always
it's
a nice trait in sales.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. And I'm here now. I'm married, 2 kids. I'm here for the long games. I'm not here to burn any bridges.
Now, you've had a family here. It's obviously a big change from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Dubai now? Like, how having a new family in Dubai, like, how's that changed the Charlie King?
Do you know what? Having kids here is one thing, but COVID has changed the way I feel about Dubai.
Right.
It's a great place to bring up kids. When I look at the life that my 2 kids have, versus what you can give them in the UK, I feel that you can give your kids a much better life here, just because you've got weather. You've got weather. Weekends you're swimming, you're on the beach. It's safe. You haven't got to worry about them. You haven't got to worry about your things here. And then COVID come along, and not that I wasn't happy. I was always happy in Dubai, but COVID changed, I think, the way Dubai have handled COVID. Has been like nobody else.
Yeah.
The leadership here is, in my opinion, by far the best.
Yeah.
And it's just allowed people to live a normal life, and it's now just giving me that, not peace, but I'm comfortable and I've got no interest in going back to UK or Europe or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm fully settled here. My wife is, my kids are.
That's great.
So,
I feel the same way. It's been they've handled it really well.
And that's been, for many people, that's been the driver of the market. Things are different this time.
We'll touch on the market in a minute, because I know that it's over the last couple of years, or certainly over the last year, gone crazy. But you've been here 10 years. You've obviously started out in real estate. You've had to learn a new skill and a new industry. Was there someone that mentored you and inspired you, in those early days, or even now, to be as successful as you are?
So when I first come here, it would have been my old manager, James Ellison. And there was 3 guys I used to sit next to. Rich Feeney, who's here actually, he's working here now, and lettings manager. Used to have, so it was me, guy called Wesley, who's not here anymore, guy called Arnie, I don't think he's here anymore, and Rich. And there was us 4, and then my manager James next to me. And because I was new to the job, I just used to ask them everything, and they just used to guide me, and they helped me a lot right at the very start.
Yeah.
But then I become friends with Mark, who's now managing director here at Allsopp. I used to pepper him, and he used to help me, even though I wasn't at Allsopp at the time. He'd always help me, and even now, I still ring him up on a daily basis and ask him. I just like to
bounce off people.
And get his thoughts, and just before I sort of go back to buy or sell or whatever.
I suppose you've got a big network of successful people around you here, so it's
it's just nice to bounce off of people. It's nice to speak to people and get their thoughts. I always like to think from both sides, whether it's buyer side, seller side, whichever side. I always like to think how other people think.
Yeah.
I don't just think, no, that's my way, that's the way I would do it, that's the right way. I always like to speak to people about it. Yeah. And then digest it and then make a call on it from there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a changing market. We were speaking briefly before about how that's changed, over the last 10 years since you've been here. How has the market changed for you over the years since you've been here? Like, what's driven it on for you?
So when I landed here in 2012, I was in lettings, so I wasn't, and I was when you first come in, well, for me anyway, new in real estate, new to Dubai, I was just lettings, dealing with landlords and tenants. So, but from the market then started to go in 2012, but I wasn't in sales. I wasn't part of it. I did go into sales in sort of like 13, end of 13. The market then was all speculative, in my opinion. It was, okay, there was the odd end user here and there, but in my opinion, 60-70% of it was all speculative. People just trying to buy, make a 10% premium, 15, 20, whatever the premium is.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that's just not a sustainable market. Hence why then, and it was all driven by the expo that was, I think it was announced in 13, end of 13, I think. Everyone was saying, expo, but people were forgetting it was 6 years down the line. And a lot of people didn't really understand what expo was and what it would bring to Dubai. But people were just jumping on the bandwagon, and it was just a horrible market, I think, to be in. There was no emotions. But then we had the last sort of 5-year downturn, which was really tough. Buyers and market was continuing to sort of drop. So buyers would then say, well, why am I buying? If the market's dropping, et cetera, et cetera. I'm only looking if someone's really looking to, distressed. I hate that word distressed, by the way, but
I suppose rents were piling down as well.
Rents were down, so it didn't make sense for people to buy. So it was tough. It was tough for everyone. It was buyers, sellers, agents. It was a difficult market. And then it was actually pre-COVID. It was about a year before COVID. Things really started to pick up. We reached at levels that were cheap. People were still talking the market down, still felt that the market was going to drop. When in reality, that was the time to buy. Looking now,
absolutely.
When COVID hit, 6 months prior to COVID, that was the best time to sort of got your deal. But then COVID come along, and Dubai kept its gates open. They squashed COVID at the very early stages. I remember the 3-week, 24-hour lockdown, applying for your permits.
Challenging time, but
it was tough, and then
bounced out of.
People would just come out. People would come here. I remember dealing with a client that was based in Monaco.
Right.
And he come here in 2008, and he hated Dubai. And then he was forced here because Monaco went into lockdown.
Right.
He was forced here, and he just said Dubai has changed so much. Dubai's a big version of Monaco now. So for me, and he was investing. He was buying his home. He had bought, investments. Yeah. And he just said, for me now, I can spend 4, 5, 6 months in Monaco or in Europe, and then I can spend the rest here. He said Dubai's got a lot going for it. And people were forced to come here, like him, and like people that had never even had Dubai on the agenda to come here. So it just opened to so many different people that would never have considered it, but were forced to come here because of COVID restrictions. And then thought, do you know what? I can set up a business here. The family love it here. I can connect to anywhere in the world easily. And that's been the driver of the market.
I was going to say, actually, in the last sort of, I suppose, 4 to 5 months or so, what changes have you then seen happen as, not that we're out of the pandemic yet, but things are sort of opening up even more. What changes have you noticed, or trends, I suppose, have you seen over the last shorter period, say 4 to 5 months?
None of this is speculative market. The prices, the reason for the prices now is end users, is people buying homes, which is what you want. All this, volatile market is just no good for anyone. Okay, for the people that want to get in and out and speculators, fair enough, but it's not sustainable. So I think there's still plenty of room in this market. The luxury segment has sort of been on fire for the sort of last 18 months.
You still see that? So what are you focusing on now?
Still, I focus on clients. As I say, I've been here 10 years, so I have clients that will only work with me. So I sort of stick with them. I'm still taking on board new clients. 9 times out of 10, they're referrals from other clients or friends. But I still think there's loads of room left in this market, and I don't think it's a bubble like it was in 13, 14.
Yeah. Good news to those brokers coming into the job now where you were 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I suppose that one question that everyone likes me to ask is, let's go back to your first big commission check. What was the first thing you bought? What was that luxury item that you went out and
do you know what? I never bought. It wasn't just one deal and then I bought one big thing. It was like an accumulation of different sort of deals that I'd saved. And I bought a place in the UK.
Okay.
Where it was actually a plot of land, which I ended up building on with a friend back at home. Yeah. Sold that, and then went again in the UK, and then.
So not the Range Rover then?
No. Look, cars are great, but it's nice to have a nice car, but yeah, no, they're not. It was sort of the property that I went into first. Very
strong opportunity.
Yeah, it's easily done, and we all, I've had my days.
Yeah, exactly.
Blowing money and stuff like that.
So let's talk about that, right? You've got a lot of agents coming into this market. It's super hot. I think the number of agents has gone up from like 6,000 to 8,000 if you look at the registration. So what advice would you give to new people coming into the market now? New agents coming in.
You got to be prepared to work and work and work. The phone never stops, which is hard. This job is a high pressure job. It's fast paced. You've got to be on the pulse 24/7. You are going to get people that are going to call you late at night. Some people early in the morning, weekends. I find it very hard to switch off. Yeah. I've tried to get better. Yeah. For my wife and my kids' sake. Mm-hmm. But it's difficult. It's hard. So anyone who's coming over, be prepared to make sacrifices. To graft, and it will come. It's not going to happen, overnight. Yeah. It is, you see brokers. Okay, you see some new brokers now that are great. That they're making really good money, but it's being sustainable. It's all well and good having one big month, and it's very easy to just say, oh well, I've made some good money last month, and just take your foot off the gas. But you'll find that the brokers that are consistent. Yeah, it's all the time. Change. Yeah. Lewis famously said on the radio a year or two ago about people changing. Right, it was 10 years ago. It was a hitting the phones job, and now it's about data. And sort of the person coming in has changed. How have you found that? With the data at your fingertips that you have now, how do you use that to your advantage? I remember when I first come here in 12. That was what this job was based around. It was for me anyway, because I didn't know. It wasn't like I knew investors here that had huge portfolios that I could pick up the phone to. So it was literally cold calling all day, every day. Yeah. And back then we had the TV screens on the phones for number of calls you made, duration of the calls. Right. Proper old school stuff. Proper old school sales. Well, it was old school, but to me it was a new thing. Of course, yeah. I remember making 100, 150, 200 calls, and you're trying to get the duration up, to 1.5, 2 minutes or whatever you can, because then you're engaging with clients. Yeah. But now, I don't do it. I don't know if that's because I've been here as long, but now, especially with Allsopp, they've got such a huge database that they've accumulated over 14, 15 years. I can't remember now how long Allsopp's been. So it is literally all in our database it does make it easy. I'm not saying the job's easy, it's not at all. But to have all the data now that's literally at your fingertips, it makes it a lot easier. And nine times out of 10, they've all been engaged with Allsopp at some point. Yeah. So they have that sort of similarity with
relationship
them.
Is there. The brand is there.
The brand is there. It's right. Yeah. That's right.
Some really great answers there to those questions. A lot of things that I think people will respond to and pick up. Listen, Charlie, you've been a great guest.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Put it there.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.